Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Discovery and watched the stars through the main screen. His crew had been exploring this part of space for 3 months now. They were looking for new planets and checking for signs of life. So far they had found nothing but empty space and dead rocks. The Discovery was not a big ship, but it was fast and had good equipment. Jake had 37 people working with him. Most of them were scientists and engineers. They all wanted to find something new out here in the dark. Lisa Parker was sitting at her science station when her screen started beeping. She looked at the readings and her eyes went wide. "Captain, I am picking up something strange," she said. "There is a ship about 2 hours away from us." Jake turned to look at her. "What kind of ship?" "I do not know, sir. It is not like anything in our database. The ship appears to be drifting. I'm not getting any power readings from it," Jake thought. For a moment, finding an unknown ship was exactly what they had come out here to do. Set course for that ship. Call Commander Turner to the bridge. Alex Turner was Jake's second in command. He was young but smart and always ready for action. When he arrived on the bridge, Jake told him about the strange ship. "Could be a trap," Alex said. "We should be careful." "I agree. But we have to check it out. That is why we are here." The Discovery moved through space toward the unknown ship. As they got closer, everyone could see how strange it looked. The ship was made of some kind of dark metal that seemed to bend light. Around it, it had sharp edges and curved parts that made no sense to human eyes. "The ship is about twice our size," Lisa said. "I am reading some kind of atmosphere inside, but very weak life support systems. Whatever is in there might not have much time left." Jake made his decision. "Alex, get an away team ready. Take Dr. Walsh and 3 security officers. Full environmental suits. We do not know what we might find over there." Dr. Helen Walsh was the ship's doctor and expert on alien life. She had studied every known form of life in the galaxy, but she had never seen anything like the readings coming from this ship. The away team used a small shuttle to reach the alien ship. Alex found an airlock that looked like it might work with their equipment. It took 20 minutes to figure out how to open it. When they finally got inside, their suit lights showed them a world unlike anything they had ever seen. The walls were covered with symbols that looked like they were carved by claws. The air was thick and smelled like metal and something else they could not name. Everything was built for someone much larger than humans. "This way," Alex said, following his scanner readings. "I am getting 1 life sign deeper in the ship." They walked through corridors that were too tall and too wide. The ship felt empty and cold. Finally, they reached a large room filled with strange equipment. In the center of the room was something that looked like a bed or medical table. On that table lay the most frightening creature any of them had ever seen. It was huge, almost 8 feet tall, even lying down. Its skin looked like black armor with spikes and ridges all over it. It had 4 arms ending in claws that could cut through steel. Its head was shaped like a skull with glowing red eyes that were now closed. "Is it alive?" Alex whispered. Doctor Walsh checked her medical scanner. "Barely. This thing is dying. Its body is eating itself from hunger. We need to get it back to our ship right now." "Are you crazy? That thing could kill us all." "Look at it, Alex. It cannot even stand up. Whatever it is, it needs help. If we let it die, we might never get another chance to learn about its people." Alex did not like it, but he trusted Dr. Walsh. They used anti-gravity lifts to move the creature back to their shuttle. Getting it aboard the Discovery was even harder. They had to remove walls to make room for it in the medical bay. Captain Morrison came to see the alien as soon as it was secure. It was even more frightening up close. The creature's breathing was slow and weak. Its body looked like it was built for war. "What do you think it is?" Jake asked Dr. Walsh. "Some kind of predator. Look at those claws and teeth." "This thing was made to hunt and kill, but it is also intelligent. The ship we found has technology we do not understand." As they talked, the alien's eyes suddenly opened. They glowed bright red in the dark room. The creature tried to sit up but was too weak. Its mouth opened and sounds came out that hurt their ears. Then something impossible happened. The sounds changed into words they could understand. Feed me. Human. Everyone in the room stepped back in shock. The alien was looking right at Captain Morrison. Its voice was deep and rough like rocks grinding together. You can understand us? Jake asked. I understand all life. You are human. Your ship saved me from death. But I am still dying. You must feed me or I will die anyway. Dr. Walsh moved closer with her scanner. What do you need to eat? We have food on our ship. The alien made a sound that might have been laughing. Your food is nothing to me. I need life force. I need the energy that flows through living things. I need you to feed me your essence. Jake felt his blood turn cold. You want us to die to feed you? Not die, but give me life energy. It is what my people do? It is what I am? The alien's eyes closed again, and its breathing became even weaker. Dr. Walsh checked her readings and shook her head. Whatever it needs, we have to decide fast. This creature will be dead in hours if we do not help it. Jake looked at the alien, warrior, and tried to think. They had found first contact with an alien species. But that species wanted to feed on humans to survive. If they refused, the alien would die. If they agreed, members of his crew might die instead. What is your name? Jake asked the creature, the red eyes opened again. I am Zekthor, War Prince of the Devourer caste. I serve the Kethmori Empire, and I am so very hungry. The aliens. Words sent a chill through everyone in the room. They had found alien life at last. But that life might cost them everything they had. The next morning brought bad news. Security Chief Ryan Cooper stood in Captain Morrison's office with a worried look on his face. Sir, we have a problem with our guest, he said. What kind of problem? Zekthor broke out of his restraints twice during the night. The first time, he made it halfway to crew quarters before collapsing. The second time, he got even further. Jake felt his stomach drop. Was anyone hurt? No, sir, but only because he was too weak to keep going. Captain, this thing bent steel bars like they were paper. The restraints that should hold down a shuttle, he snapped them like string. Jake went to the medical bay to see for himself. The damage was impressive and frightening. Thick metal restraints were twisted and broken. Claw marks scored the walls where Zekthor had tried to pull himself forward. Dr. Walsh was running tests on the alien. His condition is getting worse, she said. His body is breaking down its own muscle and organs for energy. If this continues, he will be dead by tomorrow. Zekthor opened his red eyes and looked at Jake. I told you, human. I need life force. Your metal bonds cannot hold a Kethmori warrior, even a dying one. What exactly do you need from us? Jake asked. All living things have energy that flows through them. Your people call it bioelectricity. My kind evolved to consume this energy along with flesh. It is not enough to eat dead meat. We must have the life force that flows in living beings. Dr. Walsh looked up from her scanner. That is actually possible. All life forms do generate electrical energy. But how do you extract it without killing the host? Zekthor made that rough laughing sound again. Most species die when we feed. That is why we are called the Devourer caste, but some survive if we are careful. The process is painful but not always fatal. Communications Officer Maria Santos ran into the medical bay. Captain, we are getting signals from space. Multiple ships heading our way fast. Jake followed Maria back to the bridge. The scanner showed 6 large ships approaching from the direction they had found Zekthor. The ships were bigger than the Discovery and moving at incredible speed. Can you tell what they want? Jake asked. They are broadcasting on multiple frequencies. I think they are looking for something. Jake had a sick feeling he knew what they were looking for. He went back to the medical bay where Zekthor was trying to sit up. Are those your people coming? Jake asked. Yes, they hunt for me. I was pursuing prey when my ship failed. They will find me soon. And what will they do when they find you here with us? Zekthor looked at Jake with those burning red eyes. If I am dead, they will assume you killed me. The Kethmori do not forgive the death of a war prince. They will destroy your ship and everyone on it. Dr. Walsh stepped forward. And if you are alive? That depends on whether I tell them you are prey or allies. Right now, I am not sure which you are. The alien tried to stand but fell back down. You humans confuse me. Every other species we have met either runs away or tries to fight us. You brought me aboard your ship and try to heal me. But you will not feed me what I need to live. Jake made a hard choice. Dr. Walsh, if someone volunteered to let this alien feed on them, what would happen? I do not know. Without understanding exactly how the process works, the volunteer could die, or they could be permanently damaged, but they might survive. It is possible. Jake looked around the medical bay. Several crew members had gathered to listen. They all looked scared but also curious. I will volunteer, said Lieutenant Commander Kate Sullivan. She was the ship's pilot and one of Jake's most trusted officers. Kate, no. We do not know what this will do to you. Captain, if those ships out there are hostile, we need this alien on our side. I'm willing to take the risk, Dr. Walsh shook her head. I cannot allow this. I need to understand the process better first. She turned to Zekthor. Can you explain exactly how your feeding works? The alien warrior struggled to focus. We have special organs that can draw bioelectric energy from other beings. Usually we also consume flesh, but energy alone can sustain us for a time. The process creates a connection between predator and prey. What kind of connection? We share thoughts and feelings during feeding. It is how we know when the prey is close to death. Most Kethmori feed until the prey dies. But I could stop before that point. Dr. Walsh spent the next few hours studying Zekthor's biology with her medical scanners. What she found was amazing and terrifying. The alien had multiple organs designed to process both physical matter and energy. His digestive system was unlike anything in human science. He has specialized cells that can absorb and store bioelectric energy, she explained to Captain Morrison. His entire nervous system is designed to interface with other life forms during feeding. Can you find a way to feed him without killing anyone? Maybe. I have been thinking about our medical equipment. We have machines that can boost bioelectric activity in patients. If I could amplify someone's energy output safely, it might be enough. The ships outside were getting closer. Maria reported that they were trying to scan the Discovery. Soon they would detect Zekthor's presence. We are running out of time, Jake said. Kate, are you still willing to try this? Yes, sir. Dr. Walsh prepared her equipment while Zekthor watched with growing interest. You would risk death for me, human? Even though I am your enemy? Kate looked at the alien warrior. You are not our enemy. You are a living being who needs help. That is what humans do. We help those who need it. Even predators who might eat you? Even then. Dr. Walsh attached monitoring equipment to Kate and prepared the bioelectric amplifiers. This is going to hurt, she warned. And we do not know what side effects there might be. I understand. Zekthor moved closer to Kate, his claws extended. And Jake almost stopped the process. But the alien was gentle as he placed one clawed hand on Kate's arm. I will try not to take too much, Zekthor said. You show great courage, human. Greater than many warriors I have known. Dr. Walsh activated the amplifiers. Kate's body began to glow with a faint blue light as her bioelectric field strengthened. Zekthor's eyes brightened and he made a sound. Like a satisfied sigh. I can feel your life force, he said. It is different from other species, stronger, more complex. Kate gritted her teeth as pain shot through her body. But she did not ask Dr. Walsh to stop. Zekthor fed slowly and carefully, monitoring Kate's condition through their connection. After 10 minutes, Zekthor released Kate's arm. She collapsed into a chair, exhausted but alive. The alien warrior looked stronger already. His red eyes were brighter, and he could sit up without help. Amazing, he said. Human life force is unlike anything I have tasted, rich and full of potential. Dr. Walsh checked Kate's vital signs. She is weak but stable. Heart rate elevated but returning to normal. On the bridge, Maria Santos called out, Captain, the alien ships are hailing us. They want to talk. Jake looked at Zekthor, who was now standing under his own power. What do I tell them? The alien warrior smiled, showing teeth like daggers. Tell them that War Prince Zekthor lives, and that he has found something very interesting. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge as the 6 alien ships surrounded the Discovery. Each ship was 3 times larger than his vessel and covered in weapon ports that could turn them to dust in seconds. But he felt more confident now that Zekthor was alive and seemingly friendly. Open a channel, Jake ordered, the main screen filled with the image of another Kethmori warrior. This one was slightly smaller than Zekthor, but looked just as dangerous. She wore armor covered in battle scars, and her red eyes burned with fierce intelligence. I am War Commander, Vexthara of the Hunter Fleet. You will surrender the War Prince immediately or face destruction. Before Jake could answer, Zekthor walked onto the bridge. The alien ships went silent when they saw him alive and moving under his own power. Sister, Zekthor said, I am pleased to see you, but these humans are not my captors. They are my saviors. Vexthara's eyes narrowed. Impossible. No prey species has ever successfully fed a Kethmori without losing many lives. How do you still live, brother? These humans have discovered something new, a way to provide life force without death. I suggest you come aboard and see for yourself. An hour later, Vexthara stood in the Discovery's medical bay watching Dr. Walsh explain the bioelectric amplification process. The War Commander was smaller than her brother, but moved like a coiled snake ready to strike. Her 4 arms ended in claws that looked even sharper than Zekthor's. You mean to tell me, Vexthara said, that this weak little human fed my brother and survived? Kate Sullivan stepped forward. She still looked tired from the feeding, but was determined to show strength in front of the alien warriors. It was not easy, but yes, and I would do it again if needed. Vexthara walked around Kate like a predator studying prey. I can smell the feeding connection on you. My brother's essence is mixed with yours now. This should not be possible. Dr. Walsh showed Vexthara the medical readings from the feeding process. Human bioelectric systems seem to be uniquely compatible with Kethmori feeding requirements. The process is draining, but not fatal when done carefully. Show me, Vexthara demanded. Engineer Pete Collins volunteered for the demonstration. He was a large man with steady nerves who worked with dangerous equipment every day. Dr. Walsh attached the amplification devices while Pete tried to look calm. Zekthor performed the feeding this time, having learned to be even more gentle from his first experience with Kate. The process went smoothly and Pete emerged tired but unharmed. Incredible, Vexthara said. In 800 years of conquest, we have never seen anything like this. Brother, these humans may be more valuable than an entire star system. But their conversation was interrupted when Navigator Chris Bailey burst into the medical bay. Captain, we are detecting more ships approaching. A lot more ships. Jake and the Kethmori warriors hurried to the bridge. The scanners showed a massive fleet approaching from deep space. Dozens of ships, some as large as space stations. The Imperial fleet, Zekthor said quietly. Father has come himself. Jake felt his blood turn cold. Your father? Emperor Kethver, ruler of the Kethmori Empire? When Vexthara reported finding me alive with humans, he decided to investigate personally. Vexthara looked worried for the first time since arriving. Brother, the Emperor has been planning the conquest of this region for years. He sees all unknown species as potential threats or food sources. What does that mean for us? Jake asked. It means, Zekthor said, that you will have one chance to prove your worth to the most powerful predator in the galaxy. If you succeed, humanity could become our allies. If you fail, your species will be consumed within days. The massive Imperial flagship filled the main screen. It was easily the size of a small moon and bristled with weapons that could destroy planets. Smaller ships swarmed around it like angry insects. A new voice came over the communication system. This one was deeper and more commanding than either Zekthor or Vexthara. It carried the weight of absolute authority. This is Emperor Kethver. I will speak with the leader of these humans immediately. Jake straightened his uniform and faced the screen. I am Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Discovery. The Emperor's image appeared on screen. He was the largest Kethmori Jake had seen, nearly 10 feet tall and covered in armor that looked like it was made from the bones of defeated enemies. His red eyes held the cold intelligence of a being who had ruled an empire for centuries. Human. The Emperor said, "My children tell me an interesting story. They say your species has found a way to feed Kethmori warriors without dying. This seems impossible." "It is true, Your Majesty. Our doctor has developed a process that allows safe feeding." Safe for whom? No species survives contact with hungry Kethmori for long. Zekthor stepped forward. "Father, I fed twice from these humans. Both are alive and healthy. Their technology creates a symbiotic relationship rather than simple predation." The Emperor was silent for a long moment. "I will come aboard your ship, human captain. If this claim is true, it could change the nature of our empire. If it is false, your species will suffer for wasting my time." An hour later, Emperor. Kethver materialized in the Discovery's cargo bay using Kethmori transport technology. Jake had cleared the largest space on the ship, but the Emperor still had to duck to avoid hitting the ceiling. The alien ruler was even more intimidating in person. His presence filled the room with the sense of barely controlled violence. Every movement suggested deadly precision. His armor was covered in symbols that Jake guessed represented conquered worlds. "Show me this impossible thing," the Emperor commanded. Dr. Walsh had prepared everything in advance. This time, Jake himself volunteered for the feeding demonstration. As captain, he felt it was his duty to take the greatest risk. "Captain, no," Kate protested. "Let me do it again." "This is my responsibility, Kate. If we are going to make first contact with an alien empire, their leader should feed from our leader." Jake lay down on the medical table while Dr. Walsh attached the amplification equipment. Emperor Kethver moved closer, his red eyes studying every detail of the process. "You are not afraid, human?" the Emperor asked. "I'm terrified," Jake admitted. "But fear does not stop us from doing what needs to be done." The Emperor's massive clawed hand touched Jake's arm gently. The feeding began, and Jake felt his life force flowing into the alien ruler. But he also felt something else, something he had not expected, through the connection. Jake could sense the Emperor's thoughts and emotions. Beneath the Predator's exterior was a being who carried the weight of an entire civilization. The Emperor was not evil, just different. His people had evolved as apex predators and built their society around that nature, but Jake also sensed something else. The Emperor was tired. Tired of constant conquest and consumption. Tired of watching species die to feed his people. The bioelectric amplification process offered something the Kethmori had never imagined, a way to sustain themselves without genocide. When the feeding ended, Jake was weak but alive. The Emperor stepped back with a thoughtful expression. "Remarkable," he said. "Not only did you survive, but I could taste your thoughts during the feeding. Your species thinks differently than any we have encountered." "How so?" Jake asked. "Other species think only of survival when we feed on them. You were thinking about how to make the process better for both of us. Even while being consumed, you sought cooperation rather than victory." Dr. Walsh checked Jake's vital signs and nodded to show he was stable. The Emperor watched this with interest. "Your female healer shows great skill. Among my people, only the strongest survive injury. You care for your weak and wounded. We believe every life has value," Jake said. "Strong or weak, we help each other." The Emperor was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different, less commanding and more thoughtful. "Captain Morrison, I have ruled the Kethmori Empire for 3,000 years. In that time, we have conquered 47 star systems and consumed dozens of species. It has made us strong, but it has also made us empty." "What do you mean?" "We are predators, but predators need prey to survive. Each species we consume is one less source of food for the future. We have been slowly starving ourselves through our own success." The Emperor looked at Dr. Walsh and her equipment. "But your technology changes everything." If we can feed without killing, we can build an empire based on cooperation instead of consumption. Jake felt hope growing in his chest. Does this mean humanity has a place in your empire? That depends, the Emperor said. Are your people willing to work with predators who might sometimes still hunger for more than bioelectricity? Jake thought about his crew and all the humans back on Earth. They were explorers and problem solvers. They had always found ways to work with dangerous situations. Yes, he said. I think we can find a way to make this work. 3 days later, the Discovery followed the Imperial fleet to the Kethmori homeworld of Drakethul. Jake stood on the bridge watching the alien planet grow larger on the screen. It was a dark world with red storms swirling across its surface. 3 moons hung in the sky like watching eyes. Dr. Walsh had spent the journey working with Kethmori scientists to improve the bioelectric feeding process. She had discovered that humans who underwent the procedure actually became stronger afterwards. Their bodies adapted to the energy exchange and developed enhanced healing abilities. It is like evolution in fast forward, she explained to Jake. The Kethmori feeding process triggers changes in human biology that make us more resilient. Kate Sullivan had volunteered for multiple feedings to test this theory. She could now lift twice her normal weight and heal from cuts in hours instead of days. Pete Collins showed similar improvements after his feeding session with Vextara, but not everyone was happy about the new alliance. As the Discovery entered orbit around Drakethul, Zekthor warned Jake about potential problems. My people have been predators for millions of years, he said. Many will see cooperation with prey species as weakness. War Marshal Grixenok leads a faction that opposes any changes to our traditional ways. How dangerous is this War Marshal? Cake asked. Very. He has conquered more worlds than any warrior except my father. His followers believe that Kethmori should take what they need by force, not negotiate for it. The capital city of Drakethul was built inside a massive crater. Towering spires reached toward the dark sky while underground tunnels connected different districts. The architecture was designed for beings much larger than humans, with everything built on a scale that made Jake feel tiny. Emperor Kethver had prepared a special chamber for the human delegation. The room was smaller than most Kethmori spaces, but still large enough to hold the entire Discovery crew. Gravity generators had been adjusted to Earth normal levels. Your people will be safe here, the Emperor assured Jake. But I must warn you that not all Kethmori welcome your presence. Some see humans as potential food rather than allies. The first formal meeting between humans and the Kethmori High Council took place in the Imperial Throne Room. Jake led a delegation that included Dr. Walsh, Engineer Collins, and Navigator Bailey. They walked into a chamber that could have held a dozen starships. The High Council consisted of 12 Kethmori warriors, each representing a different conquered species or military division. They sat on thrones carved from the bones of massive alien creatures. At the center sat Emperor Kethver on a throne made from crystallized energy. War Marshal Grixenok was immediately recognizable. He was even larger than the Emperor and covered in battle scars that told stories of countless victories. His red eyes burned with barely controlled rage as he watched the humans enter. So these are the creatures that claim to feed Kethmori without dying, Grixenok said. His voice was like grinding stone. They look weak and soft, hardly worth the trouble of hunting. Yet they have done what no other species has accomplished, Emperor Kethver replied. They have found a way to sustain our warriors without sacrificing their own lives. Because they use tricks of machines, Grixenok snarled. True feeding requires the hunt, the kill, the consumption of life. This artificial process weakens our warrior spirit. Dr. Walsh stepped forward. With respect, War Marshal, our process actually strengthens both species. Humans who participate in bioelectric feeding show enhanced physical and mental capabilities. You speak of enhancement, Grixenok said, rising from his throne. But what of the warrior's need for conquest? What of the thrill of the hunt? Will you take that from us as well? We do not seek to change your nature, Jake said. We want to find ways for our species to coexist. There must be challenges in your empire that require warrior skills beyond simple feeding. Emperor Kethver nodded thoughtfully. Captain Morrison raises an interesting point. Grixenok, you have complained that recent conquests have been too easy. Perhaps alliance with humans could provide new challenges for our warriors. But Grixenok was not satisfied. These soft creatures offer nothing but weakness disguised as cooperation. I challenge the wisdom of this alliance. The throne room fell silent. Jake could feel the tension growing between the Emperor and his war marshal. Zekthor moved closer to the human delegation, ready to defend them if necessary. What do you propose, old friend? The Emperor asked carefully. Trial by combat, Grixenok declared. Let these humans prove their worth in the arena. If they can, face a Kethmori warrior and survive, I will accept this alliance. If they fail, humanity becomes food for the Empire. Jake felt his blood turn cold. Combat with a Kethmori warrior was certain death for any human, but before he could protest, Zekthor stepped forward. I accept the challenge on behalf of humanity, the War Prince said. I will face any warrior you choose in defense of my human allies. You? Grixenok laughed harshly. You are weak from your recent ordeal? Besides, the challenge must be accepted by the humans themselves if it is to have meaning. The Emperor looked troubled. Grixenok, this serves no purpose. The humans have already proven their value. Have they? Or have they simply found a clever way to delay their inevitable consumption? Let them show true courage in the arena. Jake knew he had no choice. If he refused the challenge, the alliance would fail and humanity would be marked for destruction. If he accepted, he would almost certainly die, but maybe his sacrifice would save his species. I accept your challenge, Jake said, but I have conditions. Grixenok looked amused. Prey does not make conditions with predators. Allies do, Jake replied firmly. If I survive your trial, humanity gets full protection under Kethmori law and territory within your empire. If I fail, you spare my crew and allow them to return to Earth with news of your empire. The War Marshal considered this acceptable. But know this, human. The trial will be to the death. No mercy will be shown. Emperor Kethver tried to intervene. This is unnecessary. The humans have already demonstrated their worth. But Grixenok would not be swayed. The old ways must be respected, my Emperor. If these creatures wish to be our allies, let them prove they understand the nature of the Kethmori. That night, Jake sat in his quarters trying to prepare for what was probably going to be his last day alive. Dr. Walsh came to see him with a proposal that was both desperate and brilliant. Captain, I have been studying the bioelectric feeding process more carefully, she said. I think there might be a way to reverse it temporarily. What do you mean? Instead of you giving energy to a Kethmori, what if a Kethmori could give energy to you? The process works both ways. If we could modify the equipment, you might be able to gain some of their physical advantages. Jake thought about this. Would it work? I do not know. The theory is sound, but we have never tried it, and there would be risks. Your body might not be able to handle Kethmori energy levels. What about side effects? Unknown. You could be permanently changed. Or, the process could kill you faster than Grixenok's claws. Jake looked out at the alien city below. Somewhere out there, warriors were preparing an arena for his death. His only choices were certain death or possible death with a small chance of survival. Do it, he said. Dr. Walsh spent the rest of the night modifying her equipment with help from Kethmori scientists who were sympathetic to the alliance. Zekthor volunteered to be the energy donor despite his own recent ordeal. This is madness, Vexthara said. No Kethmori has ever given life force to another species. We do not even know if it is possible. Then we will find out, Zekthor replied. These humans risked everything to save my life. I will do the same for them. As dawn broke over Drakethul, Jake lay on Dr. Walsh's modified medical table. Zekthor placed his clawed hands on Jake's arms and began the reversed feeding process. Energy flowed from the Kethmori warrior into the human captain. Jake felt power flooding through his body. His muscles grew stronger and his senses sharpened. He could hear conversations happening in distant parts of the building. His vision became clear enough to see individual scales on Zekthor's armor, but the process was also agonizing. Human biology was not designed to handle Kethmori energy levels. Jake felt like he was being rebuilt from the inside out. When it was over, he could barely stand. "How do you feel?" Dr. Walsh asked. Jake flexed his hands and felt strength he had never possessed. Different, very different. He would need every advantage he could get. In 2 hours, he would face War Marshal Grixenok in combat that would determine the fate of humanity. The arena was carved from black stone deep beneath the capital city of Drakethul. Thousands of Kethmori warriors filled the seats, their red eyes glowing in the darkness like stars. They had come to watch what they expected would be a quick execution of the human captain. Jake Morrison walked into the center of the arena feeling like a different person. The energy transfer from Zekthor had changed him in ways he was still discovering. His muscles felt like coiled steel and his senses were sharp enough to hear individual heartbeats in the crowd. Above, War Marshal Grixenok entered from the opposite side of the arena. The massive Kethmori warrior wore no armor, only his natural, chitinous skin that could stop bullets. His forearms ended in claws that gleamed like polished knives. He moved with the deadly grace of a predator who had never known defeat. Emperor Kethver stood in the royal box high above the arena floor. "This combat will determine the fate of the human species," his voice boomed across the arena. "If Captain Morrison survives, humanity will be welcomed as allies of the Kethmori Empire. If he falls, his people return to their homeworld with our warning to stay away." Jake looked up at his crew in the human section. Dr. Walsh watched with worry while Kate Sullivan and Pete Collins tried to look confident. They all knew this was probably the last time they would see their captain alive. "You should have stayed in your little corner of space, human," Grixenok called across the arena. "Now you will die far from home for the amusement of your betters." "Maybe," Jake replied. "But at least I will die trying to build something better than endless war and conquest." Grixenok laughed harshly. "Better? You know nothing of our ways. We are predators. It is our nature to hunt and consume. Your artificial feeding process weakens us by making survival too easy. Or maybe it frees you to become something more than just predators." The War Marshal's red eyes flared with anger. "We shall see." Emperor Kethver raised his hand. "Let the trial begin." Grixenok moved with terrifying speed, covering the distance between them in seconds. His first strike would have torn Jake's head from his shoulders, but the enhanced human rolled aside just in time. The claws sparked against the stone floor where he had been standing. Jake tried to counterattack, but Grixenok was already moving again. The War Marshal's forearms allowed him to attack from multiple angles simultaneously. Jake found himself dodging a storm of razor-sharp claws that left deep gouges in the arena walls. "You are faster than expected," Grixenok admitted. "But speed will not save you." The War Marshal changed tactics, using his superior reach to keep Jake at a distance. Every time the human tried to close in, claws forced him back. It was like fighting a living weapon designed for maximum lethality. Jake realized he could not win through strength or speed alone. He needed to use his human advantages, creativity, and unpredictability. When Grixenok lunged forward again, Jake did something no Kethmori warrior would expect. Instead of dodging away, he rolled between the War Marshal's legs and struck upward at an unprotected joint. The blow connected and Grixenok stumbled. Surprised by the unconventional attack, black blood dripped from a shallow cut on his leg. It was the first time in decades that anyone had drawn the War Marshal's blood in single combat. The crowd of Kethmori warriors fell silent. They had expected to watch a brief execution, not an actual fight. "Impossible," Grixenok snarled. "No prey species has ever wounded me. I am not prey," Jake said firmly. "I am your equal." This statement enraged the War Marshal beyond reason. He attacked with renewed fury, abandoning strategy for pure aggression. His claws moved so fast they were a blur, forcing Jake to use every bit of his enhanced speed and reflexes, but rage made Grixenok sloppy. In his fury, he left openings that a calmer warrior would never allow. Jake began to exploit these gaps, landing several more hits on the massive alien. None were serious wounds, but they proved that the human could fight back. The battle raged for almost an hour. Both fighters were bleeding and exhausted. Jake's human endurance was being pushed beyond its limits, even with Kethmori energy flowing through his body. Grixenok was learning to respect his opponent's cunning and adaptability. "You fight well for prey," the war marshal admitted during a brief pause, "but you cannot win." "I have been a warrior for over 1,000 years. And I have been human for 35 years, Jake replied. "That means I have been solving impossible problems my entire life." Jake feinted left, then dove right, rolling past Grixenok's ex-guard to strike at the war marshal's knee. The joint buckled and Grixenok fell to one knee. Before he could recover, Jake wrapped his arms around the alien's neck in a chokehold. It was a desperate move. If it failed, Grixenok's claws would tear Jake apart at close range. But Jake was counting on something he had learned during the feeding process, Kethmori. Anatomy had weak points that their warrior culture never acknowledged. The chokehold cut off blood flow to Grixenok's brain. The war marshal thrashed wildly, his claws raking Jake's back and leaving deep wounds. But Jake held on with grim determination, even as his own strength faded, slowly. Impossibly, the mighty war marshal weakened. His struggles became less coordinated. His red eyes began to dim. After another minute, Grixenok collapsed unconscious. To the arena floor. Jake released the chokehold and staggered backward. Blood streamed from dozens of cuts across his body. He could barely stand, but he was alive and victorious. The arena was completely silent. 10,000 Kethmori warriors stared in shock at the impossible sight before them. A human had defeated their greatest war marshal in single combat. Emperor Kethfer was the first to speak. "By the ancient laws of trial by combat, Captain Morrison has proven the worth of humanity. The alliance is sealed." But as Jake tried to walk toward the exit, Grixenok stirred. The war marshal slowly pushed himself to his feet, shaking his massive head to clear it. His red eyes focused on Jake with something that might have been respect. "Wait, human," Grixenok called out. Jake turned, ready to fight again if necessary. But Grixenok did something unexpected. He knelt on one knee and bowed his head. "I have been wrong," the war marshal said. "You have shown me that strength comes in many forms. Your people possess a warrior spirit that equals our own, even if it manifests differently." "Does this mean you accept the alliance?" Jake asked. "More than that, I request the honor of serving alongside human warriors. You have taught me that there are forms of conquest that do not require consumption." Emperor Kethfer smiled, showing his own dangerous teeth. "Then it is settled. Humanity will be granted full citizenship in the Kethmori Empire. Captain Morrison, your species has earned something no other civilization has achieved: our respect." 6 months later, Jake stood on the bridge of a new kind of starship. The vessel was built using both human and Kethmori technology, crewed by members of both species working together. They were exploring regions of space that neither species could have reached alone. Dr. Walsh had established medical centers throughout Kethmori space where the bioelectric feeding process was taught to both species. Humans who participated gained enhanced abilities while Kethmori learned to feed without killing. The symbiotic relationship was making both species stronger. Kate Sullivan commanded her own ship now, leading mixed human Kethmori crews on diplomatic missions to other species. Pete Collins had become the chief engineer for the new hybrid fleet, designing ships that combined the best of both technologies. Even War Marshal Grixenok had found a new purpose. He led joint military units that protected the Empire's borders from threats that required both human cunning and Kethmori strength. His warriors had learned to value strategy and cooperation. Alongside traditional combat skills, Zekthor remained Jake's closest alien friend and served as ambassador between the two species. The War Prince had recovered fully from his ordeal, and often told the story of how humans had saved his life when they could have let him die. "You know," Zekthor said as they watched stars streak past the ship's windows, When I first said, "Feed me, human," I thought I was demanding sustenance from prey. I did not realize I was asking you to feed my people's hunger for something greater than mere survival. Jake smiled and looked out at the vast galaxy spreading before them. Somewhere out there were new species to meet, new challenges to face, and new alliances to build. Humanity had found its place among the stars not through conquest or submission, but through the simple act of helping a hungry alien warrior find a better way to live. The universe was vast and full of wonders. And now, working together, humans and Kethmori would explore it side by side, proving that sometimes the greatest victories come not from defeating your enemies, but from turning them into friends who share your dreams of something better.